Hello, my name is John Enxing. I'm a licensed and certified real estate instructor, both in the state of Florida and Louisiana. What I'm going to bring to you today for your exam prep is the concept of value. This comes out of your studies in the valuation appraisal section. And we're just going to simply go over some terminologies that you're going to be responsible for on the state exam. And you need to know these concepts as well. Okay? All right, let's go ahead and start. Principles of value. First one we're going to look at is called the principle of substitution. This is a concept and a theory that says the maximum price is going to be set from a property that has already been sold as the maximum acceptable of the one perhaps you're putting an offer in for, or if you're listing a property. Okay. In other words, if you've got homes that have sold around you in the area that you're looking, and these homes have averaged a certain price range, the one you're making an offering on, you're not going to exceed that price range, okay? Because that's what really the market value is established. So the principle of substitution is going to be the max price, but it's set by equal properties that have sold on the actual market, okay? The next concept we're going to look is called highest and best use. Now, this is a very important concept, and there's a lot of components that go with this. First, it's got to be legal, it's got to be financially feasible, and then physically feasible, okay? So it's got to be legal, you got to be able to afford to do it, and physically, you got to be able to, create the value in the physical sense. So let's break these down in each of these terms. When we talk about highest and best use, let's use an example. Let's say that there is a 1 acre plot of land, beautiful oak trees on it, really nice place, but there's an old cottage that was built in the 1930s. And this cottage is kind of at the end of its age, obviously, okay? Not very good upkeep. So we got, wood exterior that may be rotten, the roof may be in very deplorable condition. The interior, obviously, is not going to be modernized. We're just talking about an old cottage, okay? So as that property sets, let's just give it an example or a market value of 150,000, okay? Now, between the 1 acre land, all the nice oak trees, and the improvement or the house in that state, the market value of 150,000 at that present position is going to be its highest market value that it'll bring. However, there is a better use for it, perhaps. So let's say an investor comes along and wants to tear down and demo the house itself and haul it off and just sell the land. Now, depending on how it's zoned, and let's say in this example, it's zoned commercial 2, okay, C2 or commercial 2, which is light commercial. You can have, office buildings and, small hotels and bed and breakfast and small boutiques, retail, and perhaps coffee shops of that magnitude. Okay, so if it's zone C2 and you wanted to demo the property and just sell the land, you could sell it as commercial C2. Well, that may bring now 200,000. Okay, which is 50 more than selling it as a resident. But let's continue on. Let's say you wanted to demo the property and put a corporate office on there, say a 2-story corporate office where you could rent it out to attorneys, maybe medical facility, etc. Now you're talking about bringing a much more value to that property if you do that to it. You could keep the cottage on there and totally renovate it and modernize it, which would increase the value. You could renovate it and lease it out as a bed and breakfast, short-term rental, which is going to bring a really high value to it. So many components that you can do with this property is going to determine the highest and best use for that property that it will produce. Now, you got to be able to do it legally, okay, which is within the zoning requirements, restrictions, any restrictions to the area, etc. So it's got to be legally done. Secondly, financially, it's got to be affordable, okay, and also feasible, okay. So the cost contribution has got to be able to create the return value that you're looking for on this highest and best use. And lastly, it's got to be physically feasible, which means you may have restrictions to building size. Okay, that 2-story corporate building may not be feasible because the restriction said no 2 stories, only single story. So you got to make sure that the building is compatible to fit the property too as well. Okay, so highest and best use is a little bit bigger concept to understand than just regular definition. So, but it is the land or the property that's going to produce the greatest value. Okay, again, legally, it's got to be done legally. It's got to be financially feasible and physically feasible or possible as well. Okay. Now, the next one is called increasing and decreasing returns. This is a contribution, so it's a cost factor input. Okay, and you're looking for a return. And you can most appropriate this with flipping homes. If you get into a property, say for 150,000, and you go in and you contribute 50,000 to the renovation and turn around and sell it, your total cost contribution, or you're into this property for 200,000, 150 to purchase it and 50 to flip it or renovate it. So now you're in it for 200. Well, if it comes back and it appraises for 230, you can see that you're 30,000 to the upside, okay, which is an increasing return. But let's say, for example, it comes back and appraises for 190. Now you're on the downside, 10,000, or you're under 10,000 of what your cost contribution is, which is decreasing returns. So when it comes to increasing and decreasing returns, this is all indicative of your cost contribution and what return you're getting back. Okay. Conformity. This is a valuation term that kind of goes in line with principle of substitution. You're trying to determine a price. If you got a home, it's a 4-bedroom, 2-bath, and you want to list it on the market, you're looking for other 4-bedroom, 2-baths of similar size, obviously within a near location and design, and try to keep the age description as close to yours as well. So you're trying to conform other properties that have sold already, right, to try to get a valuation and a price range to put your house on the market. Okay. Again, what has sold around you that conforms to your property in size, location, design, and age is going to be the price that's going to set the maximum for anyone that may want to come and purchase under the principle of substitution. Okay. So conformity is nothing more than, in simple terms, apples to apples. Okay. Now, does that always happen? The answer is no. It doesn't always happen. So this is where you have to make adjustments. If you got a 4-bedroom, 2-bath, and you can only find 2 comps that are 4-bedroom, 2-bath, and the other one's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, then you got to make an adjustment to that 3-bedroom, 2-bath to bring it to a conformed price. Okay. Conformity. All right, let's look at some other valuation terms. Okay. Assemblage. Assemblage is nothing more than taking 2 pieces of raw land. So let's say 2 lots that are side by side. Let's say they're both 100 by 100 feet. Okay. So you got 2 lots, 100 by 100. And let's say each one of these lots is worth 50,000 each. So if you have 2 lots and you sold each of them separately, you'd get 100,000, 50,000 for each. Or you could come out and get it resurveyed and make 1 lot. Now you got a 200 by 200. You can do a lot more with that, bigger buildings, etc. So your assemblage is combining 2 or more properties to make 1 lot. Now, plottage is connected with assemblage because this is the increase in value that results from the combination or assemblage. Okay. So if we go back to the example, and I got 2 100 by 100s that sell for 50,000 each. Again, if I sold them separately, I'd get $100,000. But now I'm going to resurvey, combine them, record a new land description or new legal description in land records. And now through plottage, if I sold that property that's now a 200 by 200, I may be able to get 250,000 for it just because I can do more with it in the market. Okay. So assemblage is the physical combination of land together. Plottage is the increase in value as a result of assembling those lots together. Progression. Progression is a valuation term The best describes is if you got a small house and all of a sudden bigger homes are built around you, your value is going to increase slightly because of the big homes around you. Okay, it's going to add value. That's called progression. Regression is just the opposite. If you build a big house and you got small homes amongst you, it's going to bring your value down a little bit. So these are other valuation terminologies that you want to know for the state exam. So principle of substitution, again, the max price set by an equal property that's sold, highest and best. It's got to be actually be legal to do, financially feasible, and physically possible. This is going to produce the best value of that property. Increasing, decreasing returns. This is indicative of your cost contribution to where am I going to get a value back that's going to be above what my cost contribution is, or is it going to be less? Is it going to be increasing or diminishing returns? Conformity, apples to apples. I'm looking for property that I can compare in similar size, location, design, age, etc. And then assemblage and plottage, they go together. Assemblage, combining them physically. Plottage is the increase in value that comes from the combining of the property. And then progression and regression are terms that are used in valuation. Progression means your value of your home will increase if you've got bigger homes surrounding you. Likewise, regression, if you're a big house amongst small homes, your value is going to decrease. I actually had a friend that had a regression problem with his house when he sold it. He had a really large home, very large home, and it was amongst a smaller house. They were still big homes, but they were much smaller than the one he built because he built his custom. He bought the lot and he had it custom built. So not only did it not have conformity, it didn't look like the other ones, it was much bigger. And he had a hard time selling it. It took him 2 years to sell it. So he experienced a little bit of regression, right? Big house, bunch of small ones around, and he couldn't get what he wanted for until, the market had to get really right. Okay. Hey, listen, I hope you enjoyed this session on principles of value. Know these terms. You got to know all these terms for the state exam. You may get 1 or 2 or 3, but know them all. Okay. Best wishes on your exam. I'll see you next time on another tutorial. Bye for now.